The only thing that will ever teach a man your worth is losing you. Let that sink in. Not your love, not your patience, not your words, not your tears, only your absence. The more available you are, the less he values you. The more you tolerate, the more he takes. And the moment you start thinking, maybe if I explain, maybe if I show him how much I care, maybe if I just love him harder, you've already lost. Because men don't learn through words, they learn through consequences. If he didn't appreciate you when you were there, why would he appreciate you now that you're still begging for his attention? If he ignored your worth while you were giving him everything, why would he suddenly wake up just because you told him how much he hurt you? He won't, because you're speaking a language he doesn't understand. Men don't fear losing what they think will always be there. Hit that like button and subscribe, because today, you stop being the woman he thought he could walk all over. Today, you disappear and you let him suffer. Welcome back to the channel, and if this is your first time here, get ready, because this is where you wake up. This is where you finally see the truth about men, about relationships, and most importantly, about yourself. Let me ask you something. Would you keep working for a job that never pays you? Would you keep showing up early, putting in extra hours, sacrificing your time, your energy, your sanity, for nothing? Of course not. You'd quit. You'd walk away and find something better. So why is it that when it comes to a man, you're willing to keep working overtime for free? Because they told you that love is sacrifice. They told you that if you just hold on a little longer, if you just give him one more chance, if you just show him that you're different, he'll finally see your worth. But has that ever worked? Has he ever truly woken up and realized, wow, I almost lost her, let me change my entire behavior overnight? Because men don't think about what they have until it's gone. A woman on a forum once shared her story. She spent 5 years loving a man who never fully committed. 5 years being patient, forgiving, waiting for him to see how loyal, how loving, how irreplaceable she was. Every time he pulled away, she chased. Every time he disappeared, she waited. Every time he gave her crumbs, she convinced herself it was a feast. Until one day, she just stopped. No warning, no fight, no explanation. She vanished. And you know what happened? At first, nothing. He didn't even notice. Then a week passed, 2 weeks, a month, and suddenly he was watching her stories. He was accidentally liking her old pictures. He was sending a week, "Hey, how have you been?" text, testing the waters, hoping she was still the same woman who would come running. But she wasn't, and by the time he realized she was gone for good, it was too late. That's the truth you refuse to accept. You don't make him regret by explaining. You make him regret by leaving. You don't show him your worth by begging for his love. You show him your worth by giving it to someone else, or better yet, by giving it to yourself. Because the moment you stop being his safety net, his backup plan, his second option, that's the moment he starts to feel the loss. Not when you cry, not when you beg, not when you send him long messages pouring out your heart. No, he feels it when you go silent, when he reaches for you and you're not there, when he realizes that every time he took you for granted, every time he made you feel small, every time he made you question your worth, he was actually digging his own grave. And by the time he wakes up, by the time he regrets every second he ignored you, by the time he realizes that he lost something he can never get back, you'll be so far ahead, so untouchable, so unapologetically glowing, that his regret won't even matter to you anymore. So say it with me. I am done proving my worth. Drop it in the comments. Say it to yourself. Say it to the universe. Say it until you believe it. Because what's coming next? It's going to make sure he never forgets what he lost. Number 1. The first step. Wake up to reality. So, my dear, look at yourself. Look at what you have become. You were once so full of life, so radiant, so confident, and now you're just tired, exhausted from carrying a love that was never reciprocated, broken from waiting for someone to see your worth, when the truth is, you never should have had to prove it in the first place. How many nights did you sit by your phone, waiting for a message that never came? How many times did you stare at the ceiling, replaying every conversation, trying to figure out what you did wrong? And while you were there, drowning in your pain, what was he doing? Sleeping peacefully, laughing, living his life without a single thought about you. Because he knew you'd still be there. He never feared losing you because, in his mind, he never had to. And why would he? When society has trained you to believe that a woman's love should be unconditional, that no matter how badly he treats you, no matter how much he neglects you, no matter how much he makes you question your own value, you should stay, be patient, be understanding, give him time. Time for what? Time to break you even more? Time to test how much pain you can endure before you finally walk away. Time to waste your best years while he enjoys his freedom. They told you that love means sacrifice. They told you that a good woman is one who forgives, who waits, who holds on, even when she's bleeding inside. But let me tell you something, and listen carefully. Love is not suffering. If you have to beg for attention, it's not love. If you have to remind him to respect you, it's not love. If you have to convince someone to choose you, it's not love. Real love does not make you feel unseen. Real love does not leave you feeling like you are constantly chasing someone who is always running away. But society won't tell you that. Society wants you to believe in fairy tales, in soulmates, in the one, but never tells you what to do when the love you gave so freely is treated like an afterthought. So you keep waiting. You keep holding on to hope. Hope that one day he'll wake up and realize how much you loved him. Hope that if you just love him a little harder, give him a little more time, show him just a little more patience, he will change. But my dear, he won't. Because he was never afraid of losing you. He always knew you'd stay. And it's not just him. It's the world we live in. A world where men are taught that women should be grateful just to be chosen. Where you're expected to be loyal to a man who doesn't even respect you. Do you see the lie now? Do you see how they convinced you that being strong means tolerating pain rather than walking away from it? It hurts, I know. I know you wanted him to be the one. I know you dreamed of a love that felt like home. I know you thought that if you just held on a little longer, he would finally see you the way you always saw him. But holding on to someone who is actively letting you go is not love. It's self-betrayal. So what do you do now? How do you rise from this pain? First, you feel it. Let it burn. Let it hurt. Let yourself grieve, not just him, but the illusion of who you thought he was. Because that's what's breaking you right now. Not just the loss of a man, but the loss of the fantasy you built in your mind. And once you've felt it, you rise. Not by running back to him, not by sending one last text, not by waiting for closure that will never come. You rise by disappearing, by showing him what it feels like to live without you, by forcing him to sit in the silence, to feel the void, to understand, maybe for the first time, what he took for granted. Because, let me tell you something, a man never truly regrets losing a woman while she's still there. He only regrets her when she's gone. when she stops answering, when she stops begging, when she stops fighting for a place in his life. That's when it hits. And by the time it does, you won't even care anymore. Because while he's sitting there, drowning in regret, scrolling through old pictures, wondering if you've moved on, you'll be too busy rebuilding yourself into a woman he can never have again. So say it with me. I refuse to beg for love. Drop it in the comments. Say it to yourself. Say it to the universe. Say it until it becomes a part of you. Because what's coming next? It's going to teach you exactly how to vanish from his life in a way that makes him feel every second of your absence. And trust me, he will feel it. Number 2, stop giving him free emotional labor. The person who cares less has the most power. And right now, he has all the power. Not because he's better than you, not because he's smarter, not because he's more valuable, but because you gave it to him. Every time you answer his late-night texts, every time you pick up the phone, knowing damn well he only calls when he's bored, every time you sit there overanalyzing his words, replaying every conversation, trying to figure out if maybe, just maybe, this time, he actually means what he says. Why are you still giving him access to your energy, your kindness, your time? Why are you still treating him like a priority when he has never once treated you like one? Let me tell you something about men. They don't wake up one day and suddenly value a woman they've spent months, maybe even years, taking for granted. They only value what they fear losing. And if he doesn't fear losing you, he will never respect you. And don't you dare tell yourself, but he does care. I know he does. Oh, he cares. Where was that care when you were crying yourself to sleep, feeling like you weren't enough? Where was that care when he ignored your messages but had time to be on social media? Where was that care when he made plans with his friends but never made time for you? Stop making excuses for him. Stop convincing yourself that he just needs time. He has issues. He doesn't know how to express his feelings. If a man truly values you, he won't put you in a position where you have to question it. Read that again. You're sitting here, spending hours thinking about a man who barely spares you minutes. You're draining yourself mentally, emotionally, even physically, trying to decode his mixed signals, his half-assed apologies, his bare minimum effort. And for what? What are you getting in return? Because last time I checked, love isn't supposed to feel like exhaustion. Love isn't supposed to feel like you're running a race he isn't even competing in. Imagine this. You have a job that pays you pennies but expects you to work overtime. They call you in on your days off. They make you stay late. They give you more and more responsibilities, but never give you a raise, never appreciate your efforts, never acknowledge how much you give. Would you stay? Would you keep showing up, working yourself to death for a job that does nothing but take from you? You'd quit. So tell me, my dear, why are you still showing up for a man who has never paid you what you're worth? Why are you still offering your loyalty, your patience, your love, for free? And before you say, but love isn't about keeping score, let me stop you right there. You're right. Love isn't about keeping score, but love is about reciprocity. It's about effort. It's about a man who chooses you just as much as you choose him. And if he's not choosing you, then why the hell are you still investing in him? Stop giving discounts on your worth. You think that if you just give a little more, love him a little harder, prove that you're different, he'll wake up and suddenly realize how much you mean to him. But that's not how men work. The moment you make it too easy, the moment you give without expectation, the moment you make him feel like no matter what he does, you'll still be there, he stops valuing you. He stops seeing you as a prize and starts seeing you as a backup plan. And let's be real, he already knows you love him. He already knows that if he calls, you'll answer. That if he disappears and then randomly comes back, you'll still be there waiting, arms wide open. So where's his urgency? Where's his fear of losing you? Exactly. He doesn't have one, because you've made yourself too available, too predictable, too easy to reach. So it's time to change the game. You don't beg him to see your worth. You show him. And you show him by disappearing. Cut him off and watch how fast he realizes what he lost. Watch how fast he panics when you stop responding. Watch how quickly he starts lurking when you stop posting about him. Watch how confused he gets when his usual tactics, his half-assed "I miss you" texts, his breadcrumbing, his lazy attempts at keeping you around, stop working. Because that's when he'll feel it. That's when the reality of losing you will hit. But by then, you won't even care. Because while he's busy wondering what happened, wondering why you're no longer chasing him, wondering who else has your attention, you'll be too busy rebuilding yourself into the kind of woman he will never have access to again. So say it with me, I am done giving my love for free. Drop it in the comments. Say it to yourself. Say it to the universe. Let it be known. Because what's coming next? It's going to teach you how to use silence as your greatest weapon. And trust me, my dear, he will feel it. Number 3. Silence. The ultimate power move. So, my dear, you've talked, you've explained, you've poured your heart out, thinking if you just find the right words, he'll finally get it. But he won't. He never did. Because men are not wired the way you are. You feel things immediately. When he hurts you, you process it in real time. You cry, you overthink, you try to make sense of it. You feel the loss the second he pulls away. But men don't feel the loss while you're still there. They feel it when you're gone. And that's why he's not panicking right now. That's why he's fine. That's why he's out there living his best life while you're sitting in bed, heartbroken, trying to figure out how he could move on so easily. Because for him, you're still an option. He doesn't feel urgency. He doesn't feel panic. He doesn't feel the loss yet. Because he still thinks you'll be there when he's ready. And every time you text him, every time you answer his calls, every time you leave the door open for him to come back whenever he wants, you prove him right. Let me tell you something, and I need you to hear me. A man will not respect your tears, but he will respect your silence. And I know, my dear, I know you want to talk. I know you want closure. I know you want to send that one last message, hoping he'll finally understand the pain he put you through. But you won't. Because you're done explaining yourself to someone who was never listening in the first place. You don't make him regret losing you by crying. You make him regret losing you by disappearing. There was a woman on a forum who spent years chasing a man who never truly committed to her. She forgave him. She waited. She fought for him. And he never changed. Until one day, she stopped. No warning. No long goodbye message, no last attempt to fix things. She went silent. And for months, nothing happened. No texts, no calls. He didn't even notice. Until one night, 3 months later, he showed up at her house. Crying, begging, saying all the things she had once begged him to say. Why? Because he finally felt it. Not because he suddenly became a better man. Not because he finally understood what she went through, but because her absence forced him to sit with himself. And that's how men work. They don't feel loss in real time. They feel it in hindsight. And the longer you stay silent, the deeper that loss cuts. So stop thinking silence is weakness. Silence is not weakness. Silence is strategy. You see, when you stop talking, you break the cycle. You take away his comfort. You take away his ability to feed off your energy. Because right now, he still knows you care. He still knows that if he calls, you'll answer. That if he texts, you'll respond. That if he gives you just enough breadcrumbs, just enough false hope, you'll still be there. But the second you go silent, the second you stop giving him the reactions he expects, that's when he starts to panic. That's when he starts checking your last scene. That's when he starts watching your stories. That's when he starts sending weak "I miss you" texts just to see if you'll bite. And when you don't, that's when it hits. That's when he feels the loss. Because the truth is, he never thought he'd actually lose you. But now, he doesn't know where he stands with you. And that uncertainty, it will haunt him. Because men love control. They love knowing they can come back whenever they want. But when you take away that certainty, when you become a mystery, when he doesn't know if you've moved on, if you're seeing someone else, if you even care anymore, that's when his own mind starts destroying him. That's when he starts replaying every memory. That's when he starts regretting every time he ignored you. That's when he starts feeling everything you felt when he made you question your worth. But here's the most important part. You don't do this just to make him suffer. You do this for you. Because this is your power now. This is your moment to take back control. You are not here to fix him. You are not here to wait for him to wake up. You are here to walk away so powerfully that he never forgets what he lost. And by the time he realizes, it will be too late. So say it with me. I am done explaining myself to someone who never listened. Drop it in the comments. Say it to yourself. Say it to the universe. Let it be known. Because what's coming next? It's going to teach you how to become so untouchable that no man will ever take you for granted again. And trust me, my dear, he will feel it. Number 4, disappear completely. No half measures. So, my dear, you say you're done. You say you're moving on. But are you? Because you're still checking his Instagram, still stalking his last scene on WhatsApp, still waiting for him to watch your stories, hoping that somehow that means he misses you. You're not moving on. You're torturing yourself. Every time you check up on him, every time you replay old conversations, every time you scroll through his pictures, you are keeping him alive in your mind. You are feeding the very pain you're trying to escape. And let's be honest, what exactly are you looking for? Proof that he's suffering. Proof that he's missing you. Proof that he's finally realizing what he lost? Let me tell you something you don't want to hear. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what he's doing. It doesn't matter if he's out partying, if he's with another woman, if he's pretending to be happy, because none of it's your business anymore. Why are you still giving him space in your mind? Why are you still making room for someone who never made space for you? You don't heal by keeping tabs on the very thing that broke you. You don't move on by lurking in the shadows, waiting for a sign that he regrets losing you. You move on by disappearing completely. No half measures, no breadcrumbs, no maybe just one last look. You vanish like you never existed in his world. Because from this moment on, he doesn't exist in yours. So here's what you're going to do, and you're going to do it now. Step 1. Block, delete, remove all traces. I don't care if you think blocking is immature. I don't care if you think, I don't need to block him, I have self-control. You block him everywhere, not just his number, his social media, his email, his fake accounts, everything. Because as long as there's a way for him to reach you, you're giving him power. As long as you can check up on him, You're keeping yourself trapped. And don't you dare tell yourself, "But what if he needs to reach me for something important?" Let me tell you something. If he ever truly needed to talk to you, he would find a way. He would show up. He would do something drastic. But most of the time, when an ex reaches out, it's not because they miss you. It's because they miss the control. So cut him off. For real. Step 2. Stop talking about him to your friends. Every time you bring him up in conversation, you're giving him space in your energy. Every time you analyze his actions, every time you tell your friends, "Do you think he misses me?" You are keeping yourself in the past, and I get it. You need to vent. You need support. But there's a difference between venting and staying stuck in the same cycle of pain. Your friends are tired of hearing about him, and deep down, you're tired too. So from now on, his name doesn't come out of your mouth. Not in casual conversations, not in late-night rants, not in moments of weakness. He is dead to your world. And before you tell yourself, "But I just need closure, I just need to understand why he did what he did," let me stop you. Closure is not something he can give you. Closure is something you give yourself, and you will never find it by reopening the wound. Step 3. Redirect your energy into yourself. Right now, all of your focus is on him, on what he's doing, on what he's feeling, on whether or not he regrets losing you. But let me ask you, who's focusing on you? Because he's not. He's not waking up wondering how you're doing. He's not replaying memories the way you are. He's not sitting there overanalyzing your texts. So why are you doing it for him? It's time to take all of that energy you wasted on him and pour it back into yourself. Start working on your body. Hit the gym. Get stronger. Feel powerful. Start working on your mind. Read books. Learn new skills. Expand your world. Start working on your life. Go out. Meet new people. Create new memories that have nothing to do with him. Because right now, you've made him the main character in a story that was supposed to be about you, and it's time to take your power back. So, my dear, when you delete an app from your phone, you don't keep checking to see if it's still working. When you cancel a subscription, you don't keep wondering what they're doing without you. So, why are you treating him any differently? He's expired. His time in your life is over. And if you keep checking, if you keep holding on to hope, if you keep waiting for him to wake up and realize what he lost, you're the one keeping yourself stuck. Because let me tell you something, he already knows what he lost. But as long as you're still watching him, checking for him, waiting for him, he doesn't have to feel it. So stop. Stop waiting. Stop watching. Stop keeping him alive in your mind. He's nothing now. And you are free. So say it with me. I am done waiting for someone who let me go. Drop it in the comments. Say it to yourself. Say it to the universe. Let it be known. Because what's coming next? It's going to teach you how to level up so powerfully that by the time he realizes what he lost, you will be completely out of reach. And trust me, my dear, he will feel it. Number 5. Level up in silence. The glow-up that kills his ego. So, my dear, let me ask you something, and I need you to be brutally honest with yourself. When was the last time you focused on you? Not him, not what he's doing, not whether he regrets losing you, not whether he's moved on. You. When was the last time you made yourself the priority? When was the last time you woke up in the morning and thought, how can I make my life better today? Instead of waking up and wondering if he checked your stories. Because let's be real, you spent all your time, all your energy, all your love focusing on him. And what did it get you? Tears, exhaustion, sleepless nights while he was out living his life. You lost yourself in a man who was never even thinking about you. You sacrificed your peace for someone who never once lost sleep over you. And now you're waiting for him to wake up, waiting for him to see your worth, waiting for some grand moment where he comes crawling back, telling you he finally understands what he lost. But here's the truth, my dear. Why are you waiting for him to realize your worth when you haven't even realized it yourself? Because if you did, if you truly understood your value, you wouldn't be waiting. You'd be rising. And that's exactly what you're going to do, starting today. And let me tell you something. There was a woman who shared her story online. She'd spent years in a toxic relationship, always giving, always forgiving, always trying to prove her love. And when he finally left her, she was devastated. But instead of waiting for him to come back, instead of sitting in bed, crying over a man who had already moved on, she did something else. She hit the gym. Hard. She started working out, sculpting her body into something even she didn't recognize. She started a business. She took all the energy she used to waste on him and turned it into power. She changed her look. New hair, new wardrobe, new energy. And 6 months later, she walked into an event, and he was there. The second he saw her, his entire face changed. Panic, regret, shock. Because the woman standing in front of him wasn't the same woman he left. She wasn't the heartbroken girl who begged him to stay. She wasn't the desperate girl who cried over his silence. She wasn't the weak, over-giving woman he thought he could always come back to. She was a queen, a force, a woman so elevated that he could never touch her again. And by the time he realized what he lost, she didn't even care. That's the level you're going to reach. Not just so he regrets losing you, but so you never even think about him again. Because the best revenge, it's not moving on. The best revenge is leveling up so high that he can never reach you again. Be like a stock that skyrockets after someone sells it. You ever hear about those people who sell a stock too early? They think, hey, this isn't worth much, so they let it go. Then, a year later, that same stock is worth millions. And now they're kicking themselves, wishing they had held on to it. That's exactly who you're about to become. Right now, he thinks he let you go, and maybe, just maybe, he doesn't feel it yet. Because he thinks you'll always be the same. But when you glow up, when you level up your life, your looks, your mind, your entire presence, he's going to see you one day and realize that he lost something he can never get back. And that moment, that's when it will hit. Because nothing haunts a man more than the woman he once took for granted, becoming the kind of woman he could never have again. So here's what you're going to do. Step 1. Work on your body, get in the gym. Move your body. Train like you are sculpting a new version of yourself. Not because you want to make him jealous, not because you want to show him anything, but because you want to feel different. Because every time you lift a weight, every time you push yourself further, every time you see your body transform, you're reminding yourself, I am powerful, I am disciplined, I am rising. Step 2. Work on your mind. Start reading books. Start expanding yourself. Start learning new things. Because guess what? The sexiest thing a woman can have is a sharp mind. A mind that is focused, intelligent, unstoppable. You don't want to just look different. You want to think different. Because when you upgrade your mindset, you never fall for the same type of man again. Step 3. Work on your money. A woman with her own money, her own goals, her own success is the biggest flex. Right now, you're thinking about him. But imagine if all that energy went into you. Start stacking your wealth. Start working on your goals. Build something so strong for yourself that no man's absence could ever shake you again. Because a man can't break a woman who is too busy building herself. At some point, he's going to see the glow-up. Maybe he'll see a picture of you. Maybe he'll hear about you through mutual friends. Maybe one day he'll run into you and realize he made the biggest mistake of his life. And in that moment, he will want you back, but you won't even flinch. Because by the time he realizes what he lost, you will have already outgrown him. So say it with me. I am leveling up so high, he can never reach me again. Drop it in the comments. Say it to yourself. Say it to the universe. Let it be known. Because what's coming next, it's going to teach you how to make him suffer in silence while you rise. And trust me, my dear, he will feel it. Number 6. Watch his panic. Set in. So, my dear, you think he's not thinking about you. You think he's moved on. You think he's out there, living his best life, completely unbothered while you sit here, heartbroken, and in the beginning. That's exactly what it looks like. At first, he won't care. He'll act like nothing happened, like losing you was no big deal, like he was never afraid of life without you. And you know what? You're going to see things that will break your heart. He'll be out. He'll be smiling. He'll post pictures like he's happier than ever. And that's where most women mess up. That's where they break. They see him looking unbothered, and they panic. They think, oh my God, he's fine without me. He doesn't care. Maybe I should reach out. Maybe I should remind him what we had. Maybe he just needs a little push to realize what he lost. Stop. That's the trap. That's what keeps you stuck in a cycle of heartbreak. Because let me tell you something about men. They don't process loss the way you do. They don't feel the emptiness right away. You feel it immediately. The second he pulls away, you feel it in your bones. That's why you hurt so deeply. That's why you cry, why you overthink, why you feel like you can't breathe. But him? He doesn't feel it yet, because he still thinks he can come back whenever he wants. He thinks you'll still be there. So of course he looks fine. He still thinks you're an option. But then something shifts. He starts to notice your absence, not just in the obvious ways, but in the energy. He starts to feel it when he opens his phone and sees nothing from you. No texts, no missed calls, no little reminders that you're still thinking about him. He gets curious. At first it's subtle. He wonders if you're just upset. He assumes you'll come back when you cool off. But as time goes on, he starts to notice the silence. And that's when he checks your social media. He's not liking, he's not commenting, but he's watching. He's checking to see if you're posting sad quotes. He's checking to see if you're still in your feelings. He's checking to see if you're still the girl who was so in love with him that she could never truly let go. And when he doesn't see what he expects, that's when the panic sets in. Because now he doesn't know where he stands with you. Now he's not sure if he still has access. Now he's starting to feel something he's never felt before, uncertainty. And let me tell you something about men. They hate uncertainty. They love control. They love knowing they can come back anytime they feel like it. But now he doesn't know. So what does he do? He tests the waters. He sends a weak, pathetic little text. Hey, hope you're doing okay. I just wanted to check in. Not because he misses you, not because he realized your worth, but because he needs to know if he still has access. He's not asking to see you. He's not apologizing. He's not making an effort. He just wants to see if you'll break. And this is the moment that will define everything. Because if you respond, if you entertain his breadcrumbs, if you give him even the slightest bit of attention, you lose. Because now he's comfortable again. Now he knows she's still there. I still have her. And guess what? He disappears again. So do not reply. Do not entertain his breadcrumbs. Do not break your silence. He needs to feel the full weight of his actions. He needs to feel what it's like to lose you for real. Because a starving man doesn't crave food until he feels hunger. Let him starve. Let him feel the void you left behind. Let him sit in the silence. Let him experience what it's like to reach for you and feel nothing. Because the longer he sits in that discomfort, the deeper his regret will become. But more importantly, the longer you stay silent, the stronger you become. You start to notice something. You start to wake up one day and realize you don't care as much. You don't feel the urge to check on him. You don't feel the need to break your silence just to prove something, because suddenly you feel lighter. Suddenly you realize you were never losing him. He was losing you. And by the time he realizes it, it will be too late. So say it with me. I refuse to break my silence for someone who took me for granted. Drop it in the comments. Say it to yourself. Say it to the universe. Let it be known. Because what's coming next? It's going to teach you how to become so powerful that by the time he finally wakes up, you won't even care anymore. And trust me, my dear, he will feel it. Number 7. When he comes back, you don't even look twice. So, my dear, you wanted him so bad before. You cried for him. You would have done anything to make him stay. And now he's crawling back. And guess what? You don't even want him anymore, because you're not the same woman he left behind. That girl who begged, who waited, who stayed up at night wondering if she was enough. She doesn't exist anymore. And now, here he comes. Pathetic, desperate, confused, acting like he suddenly had some grand epiphany, acting like he just woke up and realized you were the best thing that ever happened to him. Oh, now he sees it. Now that you're gone. No, my dear, he doesn't miss you. He misses the control. He misses knowing that whenever he felt lonely, whenever his ego needed a boost, whenever he wanted comfort, you were there. He misses the security of knowing you were always an option. But now he feels the emptiness. Now he realizes that he pushed you too far. Now he understands that you were not playing games. You were done for real. And let me tell you something. A man never truly regrets losing a woman until he knows he can never have her again. So, what do you do now? Ignore. Move on. Keep glowing up. Let him spiral. Let him sit in the regret. Let him feel the weight of every single time he made you feel small. And if he begs, laugh. Walk away. Not because you're bitter. Not because you want revenge. But because you don't go backward. When you finish a book, you don't go back and rewrite the bad chapters. You start a new book. And that's exactly what you're doing. So say it with me. I do not go back to what broke me. Drop it in the comments. Say it to yourself. Say it to the universe. Let it be known. Because what's coming next, it's going to make sure you never, ever let a man think he can walk away from you without consequence again. And trust me, my dear, he will feel it. So, my dear, this isn't about revenge. This is about finally respecting yourself. If he didn't see your worth when you were giving him everything, he doesn't deserve a second chance now that you've taken it away. The moment you stop chasing is the moment you become the prize. Drop a comment. I am done being taken for granted. Say it. Own it. Live it. Like this video, subscribe, and let the world see your glow-up. He will suffer. He will regret. But by the time he does, you won't even care.